These chapli kebabs are easy to prepare and loaded with flavor. They are best enjoyed with a creamy garlic sauce and a mint raita. Hi, and you're watching Plating It with Wendy, where I share with you recipes which impress with ease. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, share, and comment. And if you enjoy trying out recipes that turn out right every time, then go ahead, press that subscribe button. And while you're at it, if you hit the bell icon, you'll be the first to get notified every time I upload a new video. Now, let's get started. For this recipe, we're going to start by dry roasting some whole spices. We're going to go in with 3 tablespoons of coriander seeds. Now, this might seem a lot, but trust me, it's going to really help to increase the flavor of the kebabs. And to that, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of cumin seeds and half a teaspoon of carom seeds. We're going to dry roast them because that helps to increase their flavor and make them more aromatic. And once the spices begin to get a nice color and you get that wonderful aroma in your kitchen, it's time to take them off the heat. We're going to transfer into a bowl and allow it to cool before we coarsely grind it. And while the spices are cooling, we're going to toast 3 tablespoons of corn flour. And this is what is going to help to bind the kebabs together. And by toasting it, we're going to get that little nutty flavor to the kebabs. You can skip toasting it if you want, but I find toasting it adds to the flavor. Now that is looking just fine, so we're going to take it off the heat and allow it to cool. The spices have cooled down, so let's transfer them into a mortar and pestle to coarsely grind them. You could also use a spice grinder if you wanted. In chapli kebabs, you'll find that these spices are really coarsely ground. Sometimes you can even find them full in the kebab. So this is the texture you're looking for. For the kebabs, you're going to be going in with 1 pound of ground beef, which is approximately 454 grams. You could use lamb, you could use chicken, but if you're using chicken, I would recommend using the thighs because you want a little fat in the meat. Make sure that the ground beef is not lean and it has at least 20 to 25% of fat content in it. We're going to toss in the ground spices into the bowl and we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of red chili powder and 1 teaspoon of chili flakes. One of the key ingredients of chapli kebabs is pomegranate seeds. And I'm going in with the pomegranate seed powder. I'm using 2 tablespoons of it. And this is going to help to give that lovely tangy flavor to the chapli kebabs. And now we're going to add in the toasted corn flour. And we're going to season it with about 1½ teaspoon of salt. You can always adjust the salt to taste. And 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. For some earthy flavors, we're going to go in with 1 tablespoon of finely diced ginger. And I'm going to add 4 garlic cloves and I'm going to use the garlic press so that it crushes it fine. To add some moisture, texture and taste to the kebabs, we're going to go in with 1 red onion. And we want it really finely chopped, so I'm going to chop it in a chopper. But you don't want to make a puree of it. Just going to coarsely chop it first. Now we're just going to add them into the chopper. So what you're looking for is finely chopped onions like this. Just going to transfer this into a bowl because we have one more step before we put it into the bowl with the other ingredients. To avoid excessive moisture in the kebabs, we're going to take the onions and we're going to squeeze out any extra juices so that the kebabs do not split. Let's transfer this with the rest. Now to add some freshness and a sweet tangy flavor to the kebabs, we're going to go in with 1 tomato. And when choosing the tomato, always go in with the tomato that's firm. I've not put it through the blender, but I'm going to cut it because when you put it into a blender, it gets all mushy. And we're going to take off the inside seeds and use only the outside. And now we're going to chop this up very fine. Here's a tip when cutting tomatoes. I find that a serrated knife does an excellent job. Now let's add this with the rest. And now to add a little extra heat to the kebabs, we're going to go in with 2 green chilies, and I'm using the really small ones. Now let's just chop them up fine. And so that the spice gets evenly distributed, I'm going to cross chop them. Okay, that's looking just right. Okay, let's add it in and spice up our mix. To add a hint of herbs, we're going to go in with 1/4 cup of fresh cilantro. And we're going to chop it down fine. Once again, let's go ahead and cross chop it. And we're going to add it in with the rest of the ingredients. And to help the kebabs bind, we're going to add 1 large egg. Now it's time to put on the gloves and get in there. And we're going to mix this all together. These kebabs get their name for their flat shape, and that's why they're called Chapli Kababs. These are going to be so delicious. I'm telling you, once you try out this recipe, you're never going to buy takeout Chapli Kababs again. When kneading the mixture for the kebabs, you've got to be a little vigorous because you want to get that stringy texture, which is going to help develop the meat proteins. Now this mixture is looking really good, and the aroma I'm getting from it already. I cannot wait to fry the kebabs and taste them. We're going to cover this up with a plastic wrap and refrigerate it for at least an hour, or overnight is best, so that all the ingredients get a chance to mingle together and the flavors develop. To enjoy the Chapli Kababs, we're going to make a creamy garlic sauce and a mint raita. For the creamy garlic sauce, we're going to go in with 1 cup of yogurt, and you want to choose a yogurt that's nice and thick. And to that, we're going to add 1/2 cup of sour cream. And now let's add 1/2 cup of mayo. And to that, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, or you could use any white vinegar, and 2 cloves of garlic finely crushed. And for a hint of sweetness, we're going to go in with 1 teaspoon of sugar. And we're going to add just a pinch of salt. And for a hint of color and flavor, we're going to go in with 1 tablespoon of finely chopped cilantro. Now let's whisk this together into a creamy sauce. If you like the sauce to be a little thinner, you could always add a little water to it. But for me, this is just perfect. So let's cover it up with a plastic wrap and place it in the refrigerator while we prepare the mint raita. In a small blender, we're going to add 1/2 cup of cilantro leaves, 1/3 cup of mint leaves, 2 garlic cloves roughly chopped, and now we're going to add 1 small green chili. And I've roughly chopped that up too. And to that, we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of cumin seeds, and for some added flavor, I've dry roasted them. And for a bit of tang, we're going to go in with 1½ tablespoon of lemon juice. And now to give this a head start so that it grinds into a fine paste, we're going to add about 1 tablespoon of water to it. Now let's grind this up into a fine paste. We've got a lovely smooth paste. Now let's keep this aside and whisk up the yogurt. So we're going to go in with 3/4 cup of yogurt, and to balance the flavors, we're going to add 3/4 teaspoon of sugar and about 1/4 teaspoon of salt, or you can add salt to taste. Now let's whisk this together so that we get a nice smooth texture to the yogurt. Okay, the yogurt is looking nice and creamy and smooth. Now let's add in the mint paste, and now let's blend the two together. Now we want to thin out this consistency just a little bit, so I'm going to go in with a little bit of water. Maybe about 1/2 tablespoon at a time. And this is just perfect. A lovely consistency. Now we're going to cover this up and place it in the refrigerator so that the flavors get a chance to develop. And in that time, we're going to fry up our Chapli Kababs. And now it's time for us to fry the kebabs. And I took out the kebab mix from the refrigerator about 1/2 an hour before, so that it comes to room temperature before we fry them. You don't want to put cold meat on a hot pan. We are vigorously going to mix up the meat so that we wake up all those meat proteins and create the meat strands once again. Okay, the meat is looking perfect right now, so we're going to go ahead and shape up the kebabs. To shape the kebabs, I'm going to go in with my clean hands because I find it easier to work without gloves. And I'm just going to scoop up a little portion. Now there are two ways in which you could shape the kebabs, and I'm going to show you both the ways I would like to do it. First is to take a ball of the mix and just roll it up. And we're going to keep it aside. And we're going to smash those down on the pan like you would smash burgers. And the second way would be to take a portion of the meat, place it on a plate, and flatten it down. I'm going to flatten it and create a round shape. These kebabs, since we're making them of raw meat, they're going to shrink in the pan when they're frying. You don't have to have a perfect round when shaping it, because when you fry it, it's going to get its own shape. I prefer shaping them round and then smashing them down on the pan. So I'm just going to make all the balls and then we'll go over to the pan and fry them. You got to press it down a little bit while rolling it so that it holds firm. We've got 8 kebabs from our mix. I've got my pan preheating, so let's go over to the stove and fry up the kebabs. I'm using a very small skillet because I like to do one at a time, but you could use a bigger skillet. You could even use a cast iron skillet if you wanted. And I'm going to add in some oil to this. And on a medium heat, we're going to fry the kebabs. For the one that we shaped on the plate, what you're going to do is lift it just a little bit from one side to give it a little help, and then flip it over so that it releases on your hand. And now we're going to place it in the pan. Just going to use our spatula and press it down a little bit more. Chapli kebabs are made flat. We're going to press it down a bit. And as the meat cooks, it's going to shrink and get thicker. So we're just going to flatten it down a bit. We're going to allow it to fry on one side till we find it getting a little golden brown on the edges. Pressing it down is also going to give you that typical charred look that chapli kebabs have. Now when flipping it over, what you're going to do is take 2 spatulas and use one to flip it onto the other and then just slide it back into the pan. Now see that lovely browning that we've got on the first side. So we're going to go ahead and press it down again so that we get the similar browning on the other side. The kebab is all fried. So now we're going to lift it up, drain off any excess oil, and now we're going to place it in the plate. And for the second method, we're going to take the round meat ball and using the back of our spatula, we're going to press it down. And now we're going to keep turning it and pressing it. Now we're going to allow it to fry on the other side. And to finish it off, we're going to sprinkle them with a pinch of coriander powder and a sprinkle of finely chopped fresh cilantro. And we're going to enjoy the chapli kebabs with our creamy garlic sauce and the mint raita. And I made some fresh naans and we're going to brush on some garlic butter on them. There's nothing better than garlic naans. And let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to share with you the recipe on how to prepare these naans. Oh my goodness! Look at that! And now it's time that I've been waiting for. Let's give our chapli kebabs a taste. Wow! I'm really excited. Just going to put a little bit of lemon on it and definitely going to enjoy it with the mint raita and some of the creamy garlic sauce that we made. These sauces are really delicious and I just love garlic naans. So I'm going to go in and take a good helping of that. And kebabs I enjoy best eating with hands. So I'm just going to go in straight for it. Wow. Some of that sauce. Mmm. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how delicious this is. It's absolutely amazing. And I hope you give this recipe a try. You are definitely going to enjoy it. So hop onto my website, platingitwithwendy.com, where you will find the full written recipe. Thanks for watching. See you soon.